Welcome into LakePoint Sports, where we have our sights on Prep Baseball Invitational here at the Baseball Village. I'm Cory McCartney, and we'll be taking you up to first pitch of today's broadcast, a matchup between USA Scout and Warriors Baseball Academy from the 14U division here in this tournament. Another jam-packed weekend on campus. I'll be joined along the way by Memphis Tigers Julian Henson, along with Avery and Grayson Rosen, along with the Prep Baseball Invitational, also the Sweet Tea Classic going on over the Champions Center. We also have the Lucky Charms Challenge at the Beach Pavilion, so another, again, jam-packed weekend here on campus. But we've got you covered here at the Baseball Village with our game of the day from the Audi Marietta Championship Field. The on-field action is just part of the offerings here at LakePoint Sports, where we effort to provide a best-in-class experience. That includes access to testing and player performance data that is redefining evaluation and recruiting. Curve Test Center gives athletes an unprecedented look at how they measure up through its ball, body, and brain approach to testing. Here's Curve Test Center President Chris Gagnon, and takes us inside what a player can expect when they go into the bubble.
We think body logically comes first, but we start with ball because we want players to come in having warmed up however they're comfortable, so that they're hitting and throwing in a state where they feel best prepared to be successful. We have two TrackMan-enabled batting cages. We can either pitch or hit in either. For hitters, they're seeing pitches that are set for their age group off a hack attack, an automatic feeder. They get 3 sets of 8 pitches. They get plenty of time to see the pitches to warm up and set the pitch to where they want it. And we're really trying to help kids do their best. And then they get 24 swings with some breaks in between, and we take their very best results there. We're trying to help kids show what they're capable of. Similarly for pitching, we throw 24 pitches, 12 out of the windup, 12 out of the stretch. Each set has got 8 fastballs and 8 off-speed pitches. Kids can throw whatever they want, so they can show off their full repertoire to their college coaches. All right, the body area starts here. Kids will have thrown or hit, but they may not be sprint ready, so we give them all the time they need to do whatever dynamic warm-up and stretching they need to get sprint ready before the body test starts, and we test their explosiveness and agility. First thing, we move in our body test from speed to slow strength. So we start here in our sprint tunnel. These are Swift laser gates. Wonderful system because as nearly as we can figure out, you can't cheat it. The player stands here, armed, and the timing only starts when they go. They can't do anything where they're waving hands in front of lasers. Their body has to get all the way through, so we get really fair scores for people. We run a 30, we run a 30-yard shuttle run. From sprinting, we come over here to the Swift jump mat. I think many people will know that key to generating power in sports is ground reaction forces. Best way to measure that is a vertical jump test. This is, we think, the best vertical jump mat tester in the world. From here, we come to the Proteus motion machine. We're here early in the morning, so the Proteus motion machine isn't on, but we've designed a 6-exercise test of speed, of power, and strength. The advantage of the Proteus motion machine is that it can test athletic movement in any plane of motion. So the kind of things you do in baseball, we can test, right? All right, really find somebody's power generation. This is enormously predictive. Frankly, if I have the Proteus results, I don't need to ask how hard a kid throws or hits. I can tell you. We also do a grip dynamometer test. And then that is the end of the body section. So the body section takes another 10, 11, 12 minutes, plus however long somebody takes to warm up. Lastly, we head to the brain test. The brain test has 2 parts to it. It has the Cognitive Thrive test, which is an FDA-approved test that measures mental processing speed and visual processing speed. But the highlight is something we call the hybrid reality chamber. Let me show you that. The hybrid reality chamber is not on, but as I said earlier, the magic of this test is that we're testing how well the brain does athletic things. So you can see what we have here is a system that gives an athletic challenge to players. in this case, catching ping pong balls and sorting them into bins. And then we have video screens that make that hard mentally in different ways. So the athletic challenge isn't hard, the mental challenge gets hard, and it's really been a fascinating thing to see how different athletes, in their current state, process competitive challenges and their body continues to function optimally or not. I think this will end up being one of the things people really both learn a lot from. And by the way, the kids who've gone through it love the test. It's super, super fun. So that's it. The whole test takes about 45 minutes. And let me show you what a player gets at the end of this. So at the end of the test, the player gets a curve performance score report. Now, I want to be very clear. We thought a lot about, how people use this information. And for younger players, this is really developmental. Now, if you're 16, 17, this is, we're in the real world, and this is about, what kind of competitive level you're at and where you might fit college-wise. The report has just the simplest summary in the world. It's got a brain score, a body score, and a ball score, each of which are broken down into categories. The scoring looks just like MLB The Show, so the parents may not understand it, but any 14-year-old probably will. And then there's detail pages on each of the scores that let you really see where your strengths and weaknesses are and talk to your coaches about what you want to work on to improve.
So test your athletic, cognitive, and baseball skills at Curve Test Center with TrackMan, Proteus, and more. Visit at the Bubble or sign up now at curvetestcenter.com. Don't miss this chance to level up your game. Still a few minutes out from our first pitch between Warriors Baseball Academy and USA Scout. So we'll be rejoining you as soon as action takes the field there at the Audi Marietta Championship Field. We'll be back with more from LakePoint Sports. Welcome to our coverage of the Prep Baseball Invitational here from LakePoint Sports. Again, got a matchup of USA Scout and Warriors Baseball Academy, now joined by Memphis Tigers' Julian Henson here in studio. A return for you. You were here with us a year ago. You brought a lot of teams this weekend. Give me an overview of where you think things are right now with the Memphis Tigers organization.
First off, thanks for having me again. I know I had a great time, and this is a big spot. I love this ballpark and everything about it and everything that comes with it. But overview, just like you said, we brought 6 teams down here, 6 of our best teams. These guys are talented. They're hungry. We're off to a pretty hot start, and hopefully, with the leadership of our coaches and the support of our good parent group, that we'll be able to pull a couple of these out in all 4 possible age groups here.
All right, let's go ahead and hit the field. We're just getting things underway here between Warriors Baseball Academy and USA Scout, their team Nike. Leading things off for USA Scout, we're going to get a look at Brogan Stevens. He's going to be followed by Logan Tilk and Graham Dooley. Julian, former recruiting coordinator at Memphis Tigers, the University of Memphis Tigers. I say that because we're certainly in a weird period when it comes to recruiting with baseball. We've seen a lot of changes over these last couple years. Now, obviously, we've kind of gone through this transition, when guys can commit, when coaches can be in contact with them. As a guy that's now watching it from the outside, do you miss it, or are you like, I'm glad I'm not dealing with some of those headaches?
It's a little bit of both, right? We all enjoy the rat race and feeling the importance of getting up every day and trying to hunt down the best players in the country. But right now I feel like a lot of people are in a wait-and-see mode still, right? Like, when this shakes out, like, what does it look like? How many people are coming in? If the rule passes where you actually don't lose eligibility with those 2 years ago in JUCO, right? So it's now like, what do we do? How do we go about it? Let's wait and see. But I think the biggest thing out of this, and what everybody needs to hear out of this segment, is that JUCO baseball is a really good option right now. It is really good because at the end of the day, if there's a couple outliers out there, there are guys that are big and physical enough coming out of high school that can just go compete with 22 and 23-year-old guys, right? But for the most part, that's not everybody, and that's 100% okay. JUCO is going to be able to give you 2 more years to be able to develop, get in the weight room, get physical, get a little bit mentally tough, develop that edge that a lot of people miss right now with being able to play at awesome facilities like this every single day and kind of get to the grassroots of things. And so I think the biggest thing is being able to understand that JUCO is a big option. It wasn't always the prettiest option back in the day, but right now it's a great option. These facilities now are
Yeah, runner taking off for second. He will easily grab that bag on the swipe.
Some of the facilities top end in the country look just like this one, right? All turf field, indoor facility, round the clock. Obviously, the JUCO rules are a little bit lax, so those guys get to get after it all day, every single day, which is huge. You need more time, but the biggest thing is if you love baseball, you will go play baseball anywhere. Some people are in love with what baseball looks like, what it can give me. Like, oh man, I've got said Power 5 school, next to my name and my face on my profile. Instead of saying, hey man, I love baseball. I want to get in it. I want to continue to play as long as I possibly can. And if right now, taking a real look in the mirror, if right now I'm a junior college baseball player, then that's exactly what I want to be, and that's where I'm going to go, and that's what I'm going to do because I love the game and I'm playing it just for that, not anything else, not the statistics or what it looks like to everybody else, but just deep inside, like, I love ball, so I'm going to go play wherever that is.
Yeah, it's interesting you take us there because Georgia Highlands, right up the street from here, they actually practiced on these fields, Dash O'Neill and his teams, for years. They have now since got their own turf field, as that one's going to be down for a base hit. Looks like USA Scout is going to have its first run of the game.
Hit the cut.
They're taking off for second, and
That's
they
ball.
got him.
That's ball.
Some
there
smart
it is.
play there at third, getting that runner down at second. But you kind of took us there. I mentioned that Dash O'Neill and Georgia Highlands use this facility for a long time. They now have their own turf field. I've had conversations with him about this, and you mentioned the court cases. Georgia's Dylan Goldstein got his attempt to have a place in, so his time at Chipola wasn't going to count against him, so he could have more time for the Bulldogs. That didn't go through. So it seems as though we've seen some cases where it does work out in the player's favor. We're obviously seeing in that case one where it works out the NCAA's favor. It feels like at some point someone's just going to have to set some true guidelines on how this whole JUCO thing is going to. It could completely change what JUCO is if a guy knows he goes there and it's not going to count against his NCAA eligibility. But I think until we get to that point, we're going to be watching these cases each and every time they pop up.
I think so, but it also goes back to like, hey, look, what do we want to do? Number one, and with Major League Baseball kind of cutting back on some of the minor league levels, this is a really good spot for them to be able to say, hey, look, we're going to give guys, we're not going to penalize guys' eligibility for being able to go to this level of ball, and I think it's great. I think let those guys go to JUCO, let them go play, right? Because a lot of these guys are getting into the bigger programs and they're sitting, and then they're going, oh, I don't like to sit because the travel ball system has never allowed me to sit, right? Like I get to pick and choose what high school I go to, and I think they're getting ready to pass a rule. I know for sure in Tennessee that you get one transfer without a penalty.
Yeah,
so, you know what I mean? Like the whole system doesn't set you up for what everybody's wants are. And then when they get to that spot and it's not what they wanted to be, then they get out, and then they go back and forth and kind of pinball. So I think it's a good thing being able to allow those guys to go to JUCO without penalty. I think it's great.
When you're talking to a parent that comes through the Memphis Tigers organization, and everybody, of course, has got that pipe dream, and you guys had Ari Bethia, a guy that's on his way down to Tennessee, and you're going to have a player like that, that is an undeniable power forward kind of player. But you're going to have a lot more guys that come through an organization that want to keep playing and finding a way to play at the next level. What's that communication like to parents when you say, you know what, there's not a linear path for a player? You could wind up at a JUCO. You could go to an NAIA route, and maybe you do wind up playing for a Power 4 program. But being able to play in some shape or form, if that's your mission, this is how it happens.
I think the biggest thing is that most people don't realize, the Ari Bethias and the Colin Blands of the world weren't those dudes,
Colin Bland, another one,
when they were in 6th and 7th grade, right? So you get those guys into the system, you let those guys work, right? Understand that development is the most important thing right now. That is the most important thing. Some guys bloom a little bit earlier because they're more physical. Right, we've got Cole Hinderlight here with us this weekend playing with our 13-year-old team, and he is 6'1", 210 pounds.
Wow.
Like he is.
That's a man.
In the average Division I baseball player, I think is 6 foot, 190 pounds. So that guy physically right now can go play.
Yeah.
Not everybody's like that, right? Like I'm a shorter stature guy. I played 6 years of professional baseball, and it was because of I need to be able to get into a spot that understands what's the most important thing. Not chasing trophies, which if you put together a club, that's within your system, which is great. But besides that, being able to get to a spot where player development is the most important thing. I think a lot of people get into this thing because it gets a little bit flashy and we want to go be on national team this, national team that. But how do you get to that spot, right? You get to that spot by player development, being able to have a regional-based program that sets baseball standards and policies on how it looks in the next level. Like all the things that I did in Division I baseball, they're all on paper for all of my coaches. Obviously in youth baseball there's a lot of coaches that are fathers. Some guys played at a high level, some guys did not. And how do we bring everybody up, whether it's a 7U coach that's a coach pitch guy or our 12U coach? We get them in place, practice plans, development plans, winter workouts, workout plans, and just a whole caboot, man. We just teach our coaches how to coach, and you can't go wrong. No matter if you have a AA player and he's getting the same information, as a 16-year-old that's getting ready to go to one of those Power 5 schools. You
mentioned your own baseball background, 33rd round draft pick by the Mariners in 2005, one professional home run with the Lexington Legends in 2008. What do you remember about that? You had only been called up for a few days at that point, right?
That's exactly right. What I remember about that, I was in short season I was with Troy, and I got the call. We were in New York when I got the call, so I had to call my dad. I called my dad. I was like, Dad, hey, look, I'm getting moved up. We're getting ready to go to Lexington, this, that, and the other for the rest of the year. I'm going to need you to come, pack up like everything that I have in the apartment that we have, which was about as big as where we're at right now. And my dad drove all the way up there. He got back to me. We had a homestand, and he had just walked into the ballpark, and the guy threw me a 00 heater up. I swung through it. And I was like, he's probably going to try to climb the ladder again. And I cheated, and I got to it, and I hit it there's a water tower out there, and I hit it off of, and I looked up, and my dad was there, and I pointed at him, and it was something really special. So that's my favorite moment of that one home run that I got, that my dad was there, able to be there and share after, looking a little green in the face after having to drive 13 hours to be able to get back to Lexington, Kentucky, which is a great town, by the way.
It's interesting that you have such recall of that moment, because I think there's when you have a long baseball career and you do so much, it's interesting how those little things like that, even guys that are playing this weekend will have these moments where you'll ask them about, and they can get that kind of recall. They know the pitch. They know what they threw them before. They can.
That's right.
It's just. I always find it fascinating that those kind of core moments in a player's career, those things that they can just recall everything about them.
I think the biggest part of that is the family aspect of it, right? My dad and him being there and everything that he had to do to be able to get to that moment. And it's kind of what I told all 6 of our teams that are here. I was like, hey, look, of course we want to go, compete at a regional level in this tournament, but it's also about the fellowship, right? We want to be able to get around. We call it Tiger takeovers, be able to have all of our players, even though you might have 2 games scheduled for today, but don't just go to your 2 games. Go check out another game. Let's build some energy and make this ballpark feel like a home field advantage. And the energy around the ballpark today has been really, really good so far. So kudos to our parents and our families for being able to take the time to be able to go watch other Tiger teams. So we're building that core family foundation, and which makes this organization a little bit different than most.
We've got a 1-0 lead for USA Scout here in the Prep Baseball Invitational. Jack Rossi now on the mound for USA Scout. He's facing off against Silas Keene for Warriors Baseball Academy. Easton Lee just resulted in the first out for Warriors baseball. A catcher, and I want to take you in a conversation that sometimes can be touchy, but I think it's an important one where we kind of stand out in a lot of baseball development, especially here in an area like Metro Atlanta. There has not been an everyday black catcher in baseball since Charles Johnson in 2004. What do you feel like that there's something behind that? Is it circumstantial? Where do you kind of stand on the development of the black catcher?
Well, first off, Charles Johnson was somebody that in my scouting report they were like, "Hey, could be, this is the top end ceiling for me as a player." But honestly, I think that position, that skill, especially in youth baseball, if you get an athlete in general, right? An athlete in general, they move them to middle of the field, this, that, and the other. But what they don't realize is catcher is an unbelievable position that has multiple skills in it. Receiving, the throwing aspect, the footwork aspect, the leadership on this side of the field. And obviously I wish there would be more African-American players in general, but I think the demographic has a lot to do with, hey, man, look, like athletic, let's go put you in the outfield. You run, you're fast, this, that, and the other, or you're big, you're a corner guy. But honestly, it was for me when I got my start, I always wanted to catch. My dad always sent me to like all the pitching and middle infield stuff. And when I got into 8th grade, I went to Cordova Middle School, and Margaret Carroll is a lady, very good, like softball player in her day, right? And she was like, "Hey, do you want to catch?" I was like, "Absolutely." And I got my start there, and I'm a little ADHD, so being able to have a ball thrown to me every single time kind of fed that need for me, and I kind of took off with it. I fell in love with the defensive aspect of it. I love the leadership role of it, and it was just fun. But just like I said, there's few and far between. Obviously, there's a lot of Latin American catchers, but just like I said, there's just a little bit of an outage with the African American catcher, and I'd love to be able to see African Americans in general play this game because there's a lot to offer, and I think the athleticism would shine through. And we're a 501c3, and we're looking to be able to do more of those things in the inner city, just to be able to just allow people to see it. You know what I mean? I think in certain parts of everybody's city, there's it's football. It's football and it's basketball, right? And I think just being able to have an MVP, minority baseball prospects do a great job of being able to shine the light on those guys. Alex Weiss has done a
fantastic job with that program.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I've scouted some of their events and stuff when I was on the college side of things, but I think that's great.
Yeah, I always find it interesting when MLB will go into a community and they'll go in there to look to refurbish fields. Mm-hmm. But I always feel like the thing that can truly bridge that gap is funding players' ability to play other players at a high level. Mm-hmm. If you create scholarships, within travel programs, or you create something like the RBI program that they have, where you're creating an environment, when you're creating an environment where they can be uplifted by other players of high level, I think that does a lot more than maybe refurbishing a field in maybe an area that needs it.
I think so. In RBI, just like I said, I was a product of RBI, and I had an opportunity to be able to meet the scout that drafted me, Alvin Rittman, and also Dave Clark. Dave Clark long time Pirate, long time,
Yeah.
Cub for a while. I mean, he was all over the place. Astro. He's from Tupelo, but he lived in Collierville. And, he was a huge mentor of mine. He still comes and helps with camps. He's currently the first base coach for the Astros right now. He's still in. So, I mean, being able to have guys that looked like me in such a predominant role in baseball, right? You got a guy that's a scout. This is a strong position, right? That has say. And then you've got, a 10-year veteran, right? That has been everywhere, hit everywhere, and then coached for a really long time. That meant a lot to me. And as we continue, we got a guy taking off. And as we continue to grow the Memphis Tigers.
This is the play that always drives me crazy. Having coached myself, when you've got a runner in scoring position to throw the ball around like that, I just can never understand the mindset to be able to do that. I think everyone always assumes you're going to be able to pull it off, but then you just result in that, and we have got a tie game.
Well, the thing is, you just never know how much they actually work on first and third defense. Yeah. Just like I said with us, like it's on paper how I would like for it to go down. And I know we work on it. We just finished up our spring training event where we have all of our youth teams meet up and we scrim it. We have a workout in the morning, and then we play 3 games before the season even starts. Let's make sure we're on the same page with our organizational concepts on how we want certain situations handled, and then we go about it through there. But you just don't know if, number one, if these guys play together right regularly. Do they practice together regularly, or is one from
Yeah, so this
Nevada?
is their team Nike. So they've got players from all over the country. I believe there's Georgia, Iowa, Michigan, Missouri, Tennessee, Texas, and Virginia are all represented in this team.
And if it's a close game with a regional based team, situations like that cause panic for those guys that don't know each other and how they want things to be done. And then really talented baseball players lose to good baseball teams.
Mm-hmm. Landon DeLay now at the plate for Warriors Baseball Academy. We talked about Super 60, you and I, a little bit earlier. There were 4 quarterbacks at Super 60 who were all catchers. And you talk about athleticism, and you typically take a guy who's athletic and you put him at shortstop, you put him in the outfield. It seems that you're finding a lot more guys who are of that athletic ilk that do want to catch because they kind of have the same mindset, the same responsibilities on the football field that they have behind the plate.
That's exactly right. I was about to say the common factor in both of those positions in the 2 sports is the leadership role. The leadership role, they always have the ball in their hands. Who gets the ball the most? Pitcher obviously throws the ball the most, catcher receives the ball, and then first base is actually next when it comes to receiving defensive throws. So that does not surprise me at all. Right, bigger, stockier body guys, probably a little bit of shake, but not too much, right, that can take control of a game. And that's the biggest thing about the catcher position for me. As you can tell through the broadcast here, the catcher is actually the only one facing the field the right way. Everybody else is facing this way. So
That's true.
He's got an opportunity to be able to see everything and do everything and kind of direct. And as a head coach, you want to be able to lean on that guy to be able to kind of take charge in situations and remind pitchers and defenses if we need to shade. Obviously going through your first and third plays loud and proud, calling out bunt defenses and all of that stuff. So it's fun. It's an active position, just like quarterback. You always have the ball in your hand, and you have a little bit of say. And some organizations do it different to where they actually have their catcher call pitches, which some do and some don't. So that's another aspect of being the signal caller, right?
Cal Morrison behind the plate for USA Scout right now. PitchCom has become a bigger factor, I think, that we've seen over the past year here, even at the youth level. How do you guys at Memphis Tigers kind of approach that? Are you guys using it? And if you do, at what age level does that kind of fit in the equation?
Some do and some don't. I think, the whole Astros thing back in the days kind of had everybody a little bit spooked. And then sometimes because there's in certain organizations, I'm talking, high school and college, there'll be a guy over there that's specifically trying to pick up signs from the pitching coach, right? And if you play each other enough, they'll be able to pick it up. Some have that tool to where they can pick it up in different travel ball games, and you've got to be kind of sneaky on how you want to do it. Me personally, I do not use it. I've got a system that I use that's been good to me for a while, but some, want to be able to get in there and do it. And some say that it speeds the game up. I know at Memphis we had the pitch comm right with the clicker. Everybody's got a wristband. We look down, and then we roll from there. It keeps it safe, keeps it clean, keeps it quick. But, I'm a little bit of a traditionalist for right now. I don't think that, 9-year-olds need pitch comms or anything like that. But, some of our older teams do use it. just to be able to kind of speed things up. If we don't get a hold of our high school players until post May,
Yep.
right? So it kind of makes it a little bit more difficult for the high school guy, and you're mixing pitches up, this, that, and the other. So it makes it a little bit easier when you don't spend enough time with guys, or when you're not able to spend enough time with guys to be able to get those calls right.
Landon DeLay went down on strikes. Brian Simpson now at the plate for Warriors Baseball Academy with 2 down here in the inning. There's a runner at third. Tie ball game now, 1-1 here in the bottom of the first. It's going to get away, the little arm side there. Yeah, it's interesting. We had the National Academies Association tournament here a couple years ago, and that was the first time that I saw it at the high school level. And then this past summer, we had a lot of the travel teams that were using it. I think at first we thought guys had Apple Watches out there, and then we had some interesting delays with it not working in real time, and you kind of, that's when we picked up, man, these guys are all using PitchCom, but it just seems like it's more and more infiltrating the travel scene.
It is, just like I said, it's quick, it's convenient for those that don't spend a lot of time, especially with the older guys. It's just quick and easy.
2 strikes here to Simpson. Bounces in front of the catcher. Again, we got a 1-1 game here. Julian Henson from Memphis Tigers joining us here in studio. So you were part of the Future Games coaching squad last year for Tennessee. Colin Bland was the guy that you and I mentioned a little bit earlier, and somebody who I think really took advantage of that stage. What's your kind of thought on the future games in general, and kind of how a player goes in? Because it can be overwhelming for some of these guys to go in there and see all the scouts that are on hand. You've kind of seen it from both sides as the scout. You're now part of the coaching staff for Tennessee. How do you tell a player to prepare for an environment like that?
First off, I think Hunter Martin's done an unbelievable job in the 2 years that he's been in. Just like I said, when I got out of college ball, coaching college, and he just got the job, and the thing is really just taken off. But I'm going to tell you this, that 3-day span is the best event in the country. I mean, you've got over 350 colleges, and we're all the way here in Atlanta. And as I'm walking through as a coach for Team Tennessee, I'm like dodging like Hawaii, I'm dodging like Oregon. I'm like, man, that's a long way. And there's a million people here, and on the coaching side, when I was recruiting, I was like, mercy, man, I've really got to be on my P's and Q's right now, because there's a lot of guys in the hunt, right? Which makes it really competitive for each coach. That means they're going to be P's and Q's. That means there's going to be more deals made for those players, knowing that everybody was there to be able to see them. And everybody looks over, and you're like, daggum, we've got our whole entire conference is sitting down at the same game, and we're like, all right, we got to lock in and get it done. So unbelievable event. It's my favorite event of the year, and very thankful for Hunter Martin being able to have me on. We also get to coach with R.A. Dickey, which is unbelievable. He throws me a knuckleball like every year, and I attempt to catch it. Sometimes successful, sometimes not. But it's a huge wealth of baseball from the pro side, and what exactly our colleges are looking for when they're at these events. So great event. Kudos to PBR for being able to put on the best event in the country. Yeah,
his son came 2 years ago as a younger player playing up in the future games, and just was absolutely fantastic. Had you had experience working with a knuckleballer at any point during your professional career?
Me, no. I never had a knuckleballer. A couple split finger guys, but never a knuckleballer. So, I mean, it was crazy. It was like one day at BP, he was like, "I'll throw it," and I'm like, this is unbelievable. Number one, that a bona fide big leaguer and a Cy Young winner is going to throw batting practice to the youth, and I'm sitting here nudging our guys. I'm like, dude, Cy Young winner's throwing you BP, and they're like, what? And I'm like, no, dude, you need to understand what's going on. Like, lock in here. So, great event. He's an awesome guy. And, I wish his son the best of luck in his recruiting process. Yeah,
stays very low-key, by the way, when he's around here. I mean, he's a very unassuming guy and very quiet. I dealt with him a little while during his last season when he was here in Atlanta, here with the Braves. Went out and got him and Bartolo Colon that same offseason. So he was a treat to be around, and a guy who, as you mentioned, has an illustrious career with Toronto and with the Mets as well, and wrapping it up here in Atlanta. We're on to the second inning. This one is all tied up at 1-1. Julian Henson from the Memphis Tigers joining us in the studio. Jackson Pudvey will lead things off for USA Scout. He's going to be followed by Joey Odak and Kellum Typer. So USA Scout, they play out of LakePoint. They practice here multiple times a week. They have multiple teams at nearly virtually every event that we have here on campus. And if you take this Warriors Baseball Academy team to kind of put into perspective the amount of time that USA Scout spends on these fields, they have a combined 23 prep baseball event appearances on their entire roster. The guy that you're going to see hit next in this inning, Joey Odak, has 27 on his own.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we're about to put them on payroll, so just go ahead.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Number 21 is a big man. That was a nice hack on his first swing there.
Yeah, Jackson Pudvey, we've got him listed at 6'1", 175 pounds from Davison, Michigan, 2029. Get a kid this size at this age. You see an exit velo of 86.2 at this age. That's probably going to be maybe flirting with triple digits by the time he gets done with his high school career.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. I think one of the biggest things with youth hitters right now with the current landscape is I think you got to teach these guys how to be aggressive, right? Before you start messing around and tinkering with this, that, and the other. If you don't have that aggressive mindset, especially when you start getting into the older age groups, you're not going to have the opportunity to look at 2 fastballs or your bat's over, right? You're going to get 5 sliders until it's over. So teaching those guys how to hunt, be aggressive, and then I would rather have a guy that I've got to pull back a little bit and say, hey, man, we need to talk about approach versus a guy that I have to say, hey, you know what, we need to swing the bat a little bit more. You know what I mean? So him being a big guy and aggressive like that, now it's about, becoming skilled. Oh. Got him.
Yeah, took that one in the helmet.
Tough, too.
Yeah, Austin Riley told me that he hunts windows. He's not necessarily looking at spin. He's not looking for selective pitches. He's hunting windows, and that's going to determine what he's doing at the plate. Hacks by Henson is your own instruction facility. You do swing analysis online. You're working with players in person. What's the hitting philosophy for you? Are you someone that kind of has that same approach, or how do you approach things with a player?
Well, I think it's not just one way, right? There's a lot of swing coaches out there, and there's very few hitting coaches that can see a guy and say, hey, man, I'm not just going to cookie cut you into this box. I'm going to evaluate you, figure out how you think, right? And then we can start chopping this thing up the way we need, right? Like some guys are a little bit more passive when you tell them to step on the gas and remind them it's 100% okay for them to swing and miss. And other guys, we've got to be able to kind of slow them down a little bit, like I said before. But I don't think there's just one way to be able to do it, which makes, how we do things a little bit different, because we want to be able to sit down, understand how the hitter thinks, right? Then we can better figure out a way to communicate what we need to the hitter. And, just like I say all the time, like this is a people first business, not a baseball first business. So it's a people first business with baseball in it. So as soon as I figure out my athlete, then we can kind of chop things down on a swing plane idea or if it's a timing issue. Big thing for me, I'm always talking about timing. I would rather have a dude with a 2-cent swing and really good timing than a guy with a really good swing and no understanding of timing at all, because the guy with the bad swing is going to understand how to deliver his barrel back because he's got that timing aspect versus, the guy that's been in lessons his whole entire life, right, and just has no feel for timing at all. We were in a game earlier today. There was with our 13-year-old group. There was a guy that was, he was a pitcher. He was a little bit softer. He wasn't a guy that was dominating with velocity or anything. And he had our guys kind of spinning around. Really good swings, right? But our timing was off, and there were some swing breakdowns. And most of the time, if there is a swing breakdown, it's due to timing. So just because you got a guy that's throwing 90 miles an hour, and when he separates, you load. If you got a guy that's throwing 75 miles an hour, if he separates and you load again, you are now way early. Right, so you've got to be able to kind of pick up those things and talk through those kind of timing mechanisms with those guys to be able to help them better understand that hitting is timing and pitching is disrupting timing.
So Joey Odak, the first 2 pitches of this AB, took it from the right batter's box. Then he switched over mid AB to the left batter's box.
I don't think is that legal.
I didn't think, because I thought as an ambidextrous pitchers have to establish for each at bat what arm they'll be throwing with.
Yep.
And we just watched him switch from the right side to the left side.
I don't necessarily understand in the left-on-left matchup, so now Now we're opening up the break-in ball here. And fun fact, so Austin Riley is from DeSoto County.
Yes.
And obviously I'm from Cordova. I actually coached Austin from 14 through 17 with the Doolin Dodgers. That's my man right there. So
yeah, I've known Austin since he was drafted.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was really cool watching him get married, then watching him have his first
Yep.
child, and we had some dad conversations about some things they don't necessarily tell you in the hospital to get ready for when you're in the hospital with that,
Just gotta
that
figure it
firstborn.
out.
But yeah, yeah, he's a joy to be around,
He
and
is.
it really has established himself for this current generation of kids in Metro Atlanta. It's that's their Chipper Jones.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like I said, not a better guy to be able to do it. Hard worker, former catcher.
Yeah.
Right? Former punter.
Yep.
Used to punt back in boom balls, too. I think his dad actually punted in the NFL for a little bit.
So he was running hitting clinics his first couple years during the offseason because he told me his wife wouldn't let him spend his baseball money on hunting and fishing. So he had to have
That's
these
his love, by the way.
So
You
he
know
had
that.
to have these events during the offseason so he could get that extra money to go blow on hunting and fishing.
I don't know if it's necessarily blowing if you if you love it as much as he does. That dude could stay in the sticks all year long if you'd let him.
Odak gets that one into center field. Going to be hauled in for the first out. Runner will stay at second. Again, a 1-1 ball game here. We saw a back pick throw from the catcher to first base. As a catcher, I know that's a throw everyone loves to make to try to get the runner. When you're coaching, do you see it differently as a coach than you did as a player? Because when you're a player, I can get that guy. But as a coach, how do you view it?
As a player, you want to rip it. You know, I was a little bit of a gunslinger. That's kind of why I got drafted. But as a player, you always want to let it rip. But you know, there's a way to set it up, right? And that's those subtle nuances that you have to talk through with your catchers. You know, every now and again when you catch the ball, after you receive the ball from the pitcher, you just throw it back without even looking, right? Kind of throw it back, and then you also realize a ball's got to be in a certain zone for you to be able to close down, to be able to let that back pick go. If you're catching a ball to your left and trying to bring it all the way back, it's not going to work out. So understand you got to lull a guy to sleep, and then as soon as you get a fastball low and away or a breaking ball low and away, you let that thing rip from your knees and you get one.
Were you more reluctant to throw it to third than first? Because obviously, if you throw it to third and the guy's not watching for it, runs crossing the plate.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you're throwing to first, you're either going to put it, and if you make a bad throw, you're going to put a guy in scoring position. But if you throw a ball to third base, normally he's going to come in to throw unless you've got a left fielder that's locked in, which you always praise those guys when you don't. But for me, you know, I'm going to rip it. You know what I mean? I'm going to bet on myself and let it ride every single time. Don't miss high. That's my thing. Miss low, don't miss high. They can always pick it.
Yeah, it just seems like we're seeing it a lot more at the youth level the last couple of years than I remember it being the years before that. It just seems like it's becoming, you know, I think a lot of it too, these guys are watching the major league games. They're watching a lot more college games. They're watching higher level travel baseball, and guys are doing it. So I think you're just seeing it more frequently at the youth level.
In my opinion, I think base running at the youth level, because it's not worked on, is not very good. So obviously that's going to open up a lot of windows for guys to be able to back pick people regularly. So, you know, those catchers that are back there, man, air it out when you get the opportunity, but set it up first.
Again, you have 6 teams on campus this weekend for the Prep Baseball Invitational. How deep into this schedule are we going to see Memphis Tigers baseball here at LakePoint Sports?
We will obviously this event's kind of kicking everything off for us. This is actually our first event of the year. After our post-spring training, we want to be able to get down here, but we will have teams popping through here all the way through the back end, MPI, national championships with the older guys. So, you know, I love the events here. Obviously, the ballpark, state of the art, but the competition's here as well.
Tell us about some of the guys at those higher levels that we're going to have to circle when we start getting into that. And when the high school guys are done, those names that we're going to have to watch out for this summer.
Well, this summer we've got our 16U team's very, very talented. So you're going to look out for guys like Robert Arms, which is probably going to be here at the PBR Futures games. Mason Woods is the top number 1 left-handed pitcher in the state of Tennessee. We've also got Landon Sweeney, which is a high-ranked PBR player in Mississippi out of Tupelo. So we have got Braden Holland, who actually just posted at a ID camp 85 miles an hour from behind the plate.
Wow.
And around 96 to 98 exit velo. He's a guy that's hungry. You know, we've got some good catchers in our area. And, this guy's kind of been slated as number 2, number 3 behind Will Brick, which everybody knows who Will
yeah,
Brick
yeah.
is, right? And, this guy's got a chip on his shoulder. And I love Will, and he does a fantastic job. And I love both the boys. But Braden Holland's going to be a guy that's going to stand up and shock a lot of people over the next couple years. It's crazy that these guys are just going into their sophomore year, and they're just so physical. We talked about that, man. Like, these guys are so physical. But, the Tigers are going to have a bunch of guys coming up here pretty soon that everybody's going to have to watch. They're going to be must-watch players, so I'm excited.
Yeah, excited to see them. That one gets past into the left field. It's going to result in 1 run for USA Scout. Oh, got him at third in time.
Yep, in time. I didn't know that tag looked a little funky there, and the field umpire didn't know if he was ready to pull the trigger or maybe he was just nonchalant with it.
A 2-1 lead now for USA Scout as we sit here in the second inning. Now moving on to Cal Morrison, the catcher. I was going to ask you during Sawyer Ferguson, who's now standing at second base off that RBI double, saw the towel flapping in the back of the pocket for him. It seems like we're seeing there seems a lot more flair, a lot more added to the uniform mix here. I mean, as somebody who played for a long time, I would see a catcher having a need for that thing in the back pocket. What's your take on that?
Well, in general, the flair is another way for these guys to be able to express themselves. I don't have a problem with it at all as long as those guys are getting after it. Period. Point and blank. Right? If you can wear anything that you want to wear. If you want to mix in the highlighter colors, I do not care. But you have to get after it every single day. We can't have all that stuff on and not give great effort. I'm not telling you have to be the best baseball player in the world, but you have to give great effort and hustle and play the game the right way for me to be able to have that stuff. I know catchers normally like to have a little bit of something in their back pocket because obviously, you've got the gear on, you've got sweat running down your forearms and all that other kind of stuff. It could be an accessory for somebody else. But catchers, I definitely understand why they could be able to have something in their back pocket. I think the forearm bands have kind of like gone away. You remember those back?
Oh, yeah.
Chipper Jones, man, that was a big Chipper
That's
guy.
right.
I mean, that guy had forearm bands. I was like, I gotta have them. But
Well, the ones I
remember,
the most were Barry Bonds would wear them, and Eric Davis and Darryl Strawberry, and they had like their faces were on them. They had like the little stencil cartoon of themselves. On there. Dusty Baker actually was still wearing them up until a couple years ago,
Absolutely.
so they were still making them for him.
Armbands and the toothpick.
So Sawyer Ferguson advances off the pass ball again. You got Cal Morrison at the plate for USA Scout. His squad up 2-1 here in the second inning. I think you and I talked about this before when you mentioned the effort, being okay with the effort, with the flare as long as the effort meets that. Guys with the sliding mitts, the same thing. Like if you don't take forever at first base with them. If you can make them work, well, you can use them. But if it's that when it becomes a process and guys aren't paying attention to the pitch, that's when that item in particular becomes an issue.
It is, but what most people are missing from big league games, right? If a guy walks or whatever, or gets a hit, like these guys are taking the stuff off.
Yeah.
In the batter's box. And then as they're going down the line, they are now putting it on, so it is on by the time they get there, right? If you get a base hit, obviously you got to unload some stuff. You've got to be able to slide that thing on quick, fast, and in a hurry. But, yeah, it can't take away. And there's also it's a little bit more feel from the guy in the box, too. Don't just rush into the box,
That's right.
man. I just got a base hit. Like, come on, let me enjoy it a second, get all this stuff off, and pick up the signs, this, that, and the other. So being able – guys having a solid routine at the plate, pre-pitch routine to be able to breathe deep, remind yourself, positive aphorism, pick up your coach could give those guys a little bit more time, too.
Got a 2-1 lead for a USA Scout. We're through 1.5 in the Prep Baseball Invitational. We'll be right back from LakePoint Sports.
Grilling is an art. Don't forget to add sausage, Picasso. Keep it juicy.
Jump to the jam, boogie woogie jam slam, bust the dialect, I'm the man in command, come, flow with the sounds of the mighty.
Welcome back to LakePoint Sports. We've got a 2-1 lead for USA Scout over Warriors Baseball Academy in the Prep Baseball Invitational. Memphis Tigers, Julian Henson joining me in studio. And you had mentioned positive affirmations before we went to break between the first and top and bottom of the second inning here. Such a big piece of the puzzle for young players because it's so easy to get caught up in results and, where you looked, during that day. Did you get a hit? Did you not get a hit? Did you strike out? What were the end results? How do you guys go into a situation with a player and kind of develop those positive affirmations, that positive mindset when it comes to playing a really, really tough game?
Well, I think that's the biggest thing. They have to understand like the toughness of this game and how hard it is. And it's an old cliche, right? Like you can go 3 for 10 and you're in the Hall of Fame, but if you go, you get 3 out of 10 on your test, you fail, right? So it's being able to allow those players to realize that the cushion is inside of that 70%, right? Like it's 100% okay. Like I have to talk to our guys all the time about, this is going to sound crazy and you probably never had a hitting coach tell you this, you don't actually have to hit the ball with less than 2 strikes, right? Your job is to give great effort with a good plan through the middle of the field. So if you swing and miss once, you're not out. But if you decelerate to be able to just make contact because you're afraid of striking out, now the worst things possibly happened that you're out right now. You gave away an at-bat. And obviously at the higher levels of baseball, a guy's got to be able to put you in the lineup because you're going to give him quality at-bats after quality at-bat after quality at-bat. So with us, positive affirmations, being able to be in the right mindset is the biggest thing possible because it's just you versus the pitcher in the box, and if you don't believe, you don't have a chance. So whether it's something simple like I'm the greatest hitter in the world, might not be true, but if I believe that, I'm going to go in there with confidence to be able to do exactly what I need to do, which is have a plan, pay attention to my situations, and get the job done.
So kind of the perception of the sixth tool as a baseball player has become that mental side of things. I know Prep Baseball is doing a lot with Brandon Geyer and his Major League Mindset program. Had him in here during the feature games. He was actually at All-American game down in Miami with us too. He was one of the coaches. I've had my own son who's 15U kind of going through his program, done a little bit of it myself as well. And that's a lot of the stuff that he has is that I'm the best mentality is not necessarily out of a boasting or confidence, but it's almost like creating this on-field persona for yourself. And, the way he kind of looks at it is you can kind of tie it to an animal. So you can be like, okay, every time I step on the field, I become that tiger, or I become that lion, or I become that version of myself, kind of that black mamba approach from Kobe Bryant. And then when you take the uniform off, it's as though you've taken off that persona and now you become you again, but you have an alter ego almost on the baseball side of things. And I think that's all kind of ties into that is like creating this different approach to how you, view failure, but then how you self-talk yourself in these ABs where success isn't always determined by ultimately a hit or a strikeout.
Yeah, and how you measured success offensively is a big thing, right? Here with our organization, we just implemented this actually this year. We're going with QAB stickers, right? So quality at bats, obviously QAB, QAB, however anybody wants to say it, it measures success for an offensive player, right? This generation of player isn't as mentally tough as you and I were to say, hey, man, I got out, I'm going to go get him the next time. Sometimes they kind of sulk a little bit and they don't necessarily know how to deal with failure because I'm sure both of us are guilty of it. We kind of steal the struggle away from our kids sometimes. I know I'm guilty of it. But understanding what quality ABs, right, obviously situational hit, getting a guy over, getting a guy in, right, sack bunt, right, hard hit balls for an out. Like there's over 7 multiple, if you have six to 7 plus pitches in an at bat, even though it leads to a strikeout, that's a quality at bat, right? So what we do anytime we have a quality at bat, coaches marks it down, right, and then at the end of the game, our coach hands out a QAB sticker for obviously with the Tigers that has paws on it, right, and it says QAB inside of it, and the person that wins, right, gets that sticker. Number one, it increases competition and internal competition between the team to be able to be productive, right? I don't even have hit on there anywhere for a quality at bat. Obviously, if you square a ball up and get a hit, you're going to get one, but we don't even talk about hits. Even when I was at Memphis, we don't talk about hits because offense is about production, right? And there's multiple ways to do that. Walk, getting hit, like all of those things. So now these kids stepped in the box saying there's 7 to 9 different ways that I can be successful, right? And I was talking to a coach today. I was watching from one of the backfields across the way on another team. We had a guy that hit a hard ground ball to the shortstop with the middle back with a guy at third base, scored the run. What did our team do? Our team went to the guy that hit the ball. They didn't go to the guy that scored. So everybody's like, "Oh my God, that's a quab! Let's go!" And they get excited, right? And that's huge because our guys can step in the box knowing that it's not just about getting hits, right? And I think that's what travel ball is kind of turned into, just to showcase. Hit, did I throw 95 and strike everybody out? And they're losing the team aspect. And then as soon as they get to college, they have to start buying back into the team aspect. And there's a bump and grind with the coaches and the players in the initial to be able to have guys that buy in. So I think that's for everybody. And I know it's not a new thing, but it's something that we've incorporated with our organization that could be big for offenses in general.
I love it. I hope by the end of the summer they look like the Ohio State Buckeyes and we just got these quab stickers all over them.
Absolutely. I hope so too.
Got Grayson Mirabella at the plate right now. Had a rundown there with Jack Gleason, and I know it's something that has to drive coaches crazy when you've got a guy in a rundown and you seemingly have everybody in position and the runner somehow still makes it back to the base.
Oh, man, sometimes it's about clearing those throwing lanes, right? Like if you don't have a clear throwing lane, then the guy has to try to do something different with the ball, and then it can go wild a million different ways. But, something that can be taught for sure.
Yeah, it's such a difficult thing because you can set it up in practice, but the game element of getting a guy in a pickle and being able to pull it off is very different than saying, okay, we're going to rundown drills at practice.
Mm-hmm. It's all about obviously cutting down the space. We used to, when I was in pro ball, we used to say, hey, we're going to try to limit this thing to 2 throws. If we do it right, 3 is acceptable. And that all comes from just being able to cut the distance down between the runner and making him commit. If the runner is kind of back and forth, standing sideways, he hadn't committed, so that's going to be able to give him options to be able to go one way or the other. But if we can get a guy running hard in a certain direction, that will lead to a tag and an out if the ball's delivered the right way.
3-1 count here to Grayson Mirabelli. We've got 2 out in the inning. USA Scout a 2-1 lead. Sends that one back foul. I think I got a piece of the umpire.
Yeah, we had an umpire actually, guy with a big backswing actually hit his hand earlier today. So those guys are tough back there, I know. But, I mean, they couldn't have picked a better day to be able to be behind the dish with the gear on right now. Yeah,
gorgeous weather out here in Metro Atlanta. We're definitely we've had a few signs of this spring here, but we had some pretty cold nights this past week. So hopefully this is our signal, and we're going to give the umpire a little bit more time here, kind of regroup after getting a piece of that foul ball. But I think spring has finally actually arrived here in Metro Atlanta. Look at the size difference between the first baseman and the pitcher. That's a massive guy playing first base.
That is a big guy, man. I'm telling you, they're all over the place like that. But, I mean, just like I said, everybody's journey's different, right? He's physical right now. The guy that he was talking to, one of the middle infielders, don't quit, man. Just keep grinding it out. Just keep going.
Logan Ladier playing first base right now for USA Scout, 6'2", 259 pounds. He's from St. Pius X in Kansas City, Missouri.
That's a big guy, man.
That's a tight end.
That's a tight end, and Mercer. I mean, he's a kid. He's a baby.
He's a 2029.
Man,
6'2", 259. We've got exit velos at 94.9, a bat speed of nearly 70 miles an hour out of him, and he's in 8th grade.
Guy's moving the pole too, so that means he's a big guy and he's got a little bit of twitch. Sometimes those big guys are kind of just long, strong, and powerful, but if he's moving the pole like that, there's something in there.
I know we get a lot of. We obviously have our wood bat stage of the summer schedule, but I'm always fascinated when you see these numbers, and because of the StatCast area now, you can obviously pull up every major leaguer, and you can see Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, that they're getting that those average exit velos into the mid 90s. Obviously a big difference between a wood bat and a metal bat, but even when you see those numbers kind of correlate, and you're like, yeah, I know it's only coming in spurts, but you're seeing these guys produce the same kind of numbers. Again, different between wood bat and metal bat, but that's what these pitchers and these fielders are having to deal with at this young age, is the same kind of velocity off the bat that they're dealing with at the major league level.
That's right. I think, where you play in the field is a very important thing on being able to handle that, but also obviously with the professional guys, what they're trying to hit and square up is a little bit more difficult than my man who's 6'2", 255 or whatever it was.
Right.
And, we've got a guy humming a nice 70-mile-an-hour fastball with no run or horizontal break or anything.
That's
to
right.
it. It's just on a tee for him to have him, get after it. So, but yeah, like these guys are big. They're physical. Obviously, there's multiple hundreds that are hit when we're here for the
future games.
Futures games, and it's just crazy what these young bodies can do, man. Like some people buy into it. Right, and obviously there's certain things on the youth level that you can do to be able to create that too, right? It's like back in the day we were like, this guy's just bigger than everyone else. But guess what? There's all kind of plyometrics and strength programs, push-ups, this, that, and the other, speed and agility guys that can help get players to that point. Maybe not as tall, but you can get as physical and as strong, right? That's something that you can work on. So being able to have like more of a holistic approach, which our organization is starting to get into a little bit more on how can we spend time developing these guys in the winter to be able to get stronger so they can move the bat a little bit, move their arm a little bit faster, right? So all of those things come into play. It's not just happen chance anymore, right? You have to be able to invest in some of those things for your player if your player loves it enough.
Well, Julian Henson, I apologize that we got started a little bit late. Game before this ran a little bit long, but fantastic stuff as always. I know we'll see plenty of you all summer long leading up to potentially seeing you back here once again for the future games. Thank you so much, man.
Absolutely,
Enjoy the weekend.
Thanks for having me. Absolutely.
We'll be back with a little bit more. You're watching the Prep Baseball Invitational from LakePoint Sports.
We're here at LakePoint Sports, the site of the first Curve Test Center. There will be lots of Curve Test Centers, but this will always be the first. And why are we here? Here for a couple of reasons. One is if you think about the effort players are spending trying to get coaches to notice them, the effort coaches are spending trying to figure out who's actually any good, the poor parents who are sitting there saying, where's my kid headed? This is the answer for all that.
Everyone wants to be seen, right? Sometimes what can be seen is data. So it's hard to get in front of coaches at all these programs at once, or even the school you really want to go to. So using data helps us a ton. And as long as it's reliable and there's something that can give us better information with the small sample size is what we're looking for.
Test Centers is redefining player and performance data when it comes to evaluation and recruiting. Test your athletic, cognitive, and baseball skills with TrackMan, Proteus, and more. Visit at the Bubble here on campus or sign up now at curvetestcenter.com. Don't miss this chance to level up your game. Back here with a 2-1 lead for USA Scout over Warriors Baseball Academy in the Prep Baseball Invitational on to inning number 3 as that one is ripped into left field. And, a fantastic catch in left. Man, just a fantastic job defensively. Now joined by Avery Hunt. So we go from one former catcher to another former catcher's. Julian Henson makes his exit from Memphis Tigers. So welcome back in. Oh, man, got to get situated. So we had to just take everybody inside the inner workings here. Julian had dropped his phone in the middle of the broadcast, so you may have heard that smack onto the floor, and I had to retrieve that for him. But we are back now. Everything's good to go.
Nice and readjusted.
Yeah, readjusted. Avery's now back in studio with us. I mentioned this to Julian when he was in here. This Warriors Baseball Academy team, if you take every player on their roster, they have, in a combined 23 prep baseball appearances for every one of these players. Joey Odak's playing in his 27th on his own.
I think we talked about this on the broadcast last year.
He's always here.
You just pencil him in. Last week we were finishing up the event on Sunday, not playing in the event, and I look up and he's in the concession stand line. It's like, dude, go home.
It just kind of, to me, that just sums it up, right? I mean, we obviously know, especially early on in the season, we're going to see, before we flip to the high school age of things, that we're going to see USA Scout pretty much every one of these tournaments with multiple teams. that just kind of sums it up to me, the amount of time that he's here. Strikeout there to start things off in the third inning. So now we will turn things over to number 10, Logan Tilk. That was Brogan Stevenson that just struck out for USA Scout here to lead things off. I should believe this is Brogan Stevenson. I believe the scoreboard just a little bit ahead of where we're at right now. In a national team here for USA Scout, they've got representatives from Georgia, Iowa, Michigan, Missouri, Tennessee, Texas, and Virginia listed on their roster. Just misses outside. Easton Lee back on the mound for another inning of work for Warriors Baseball Academy. Cass High School 2029 on his way to Cass High School. It should be a little bit more distinct there. Most of these kids are not at the high school level yet, though we do have a few. Easton playing in his second prep baseball event. Brogan is a homeschool player at the plate now from Virginia.
Shout out Cass High School. We use their facility for all of our summer events, so shout out those guys.
Would you have liked to have been homeschooled?
No.
No.
Nah, my dad's in education. And just having to deal with him when he wasn't my teacher, I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think people who are educators are maybe a little bit more in line to pull it off.
Yeah.
I heard a great comedian about a week ago, and it says, "I was homeschooled, so I know everything my mom knows."
Exactly. That's fair.
But there's certainly a number of guys that that go on to play at the collegiate level that are homeschooled. Lots of guys going on to college in other areas as well. But yeah, I just always feel like if you get people who are has educators, it seems like just a little bit more in line to pull that off themselves. All right, so now we've got Logan Tilk now. So the scoreboard was just a tad bit ahead. So Logan from Harrison on his way to Harrison High School here in Georgia. 5th prep baseball event for him. Logan is playing shortstop today for USA Scout. Runner taken off for second. The throw down bounces. And we actually, during the weekdays, Bree Johnson, who runs the camps over at the Champion Center, has homeschool PE over there. So there's just a nice turnout for those events. Plenty of things that she has going through. They'll have the Camp LakePoint signups will get started sooner than later. She just announced that we're going to have a pickleball camp. So I think we need to throw you in there. Yeah.
Sign me up for that one. Get a shout out for our PBR tournaments Christmas party. We had a pickleball tournament before that, and former LakePoint employee and head honcho Mr. Kyle Coletta and I had a good run in that event and ended up winning it. So if we're having a pickleball camp, might get him back, get him on a flight down here and put him to work and let us play some pickleball. So I'm all for that.
Seems like our neighborhood, we have the 2 tennis courts, the pool. So one of the tennis courts has been they've been lined now where you can play pickleball on them. So my son and I like to do one-on-one pickleball, which is an absolute workout.
Yeah.
You regret playing one-on-one pickleball right after it starts.
My dad played high school tennis for 4 years. Has played most of his life, and he decided about a year ago that he could beat me in pickleball one-on-one, and he quickly realized at 63 years old that he didn't quite have the physical, the quickness to make it happen.
Well, that inning comes to an end. USA Scout continues to lead 2-1 over Warriors Baseball Academy. Plenty of more hot pickleball talk when we continue here from LakePoint Sports.
Next. Stop.
You got it?
No. Keep going.
Again.
Next.
If you don't pick one,
Oh, you have time. Am I keeping you from your job? Next. I don't even know where I am anymore. Stop.
Do we finally have it?
Let's go back to the beginning.
Are you
Your
joking?
electric future customized. The fully electric Audi Q4 e-tron.
Making every second count. That is how I live. This is how I hydrate. Body Armor Sport Water. Water for the athlete and all of us.
This is ready to go online. Any questions?
Yeah, I got one. How about the best network imaginable? Let's invent that.
That's what we do here.
Quick survey. Who wants their internet to work pretty much everywhere?
And it needs to run smooth, like super smooth.
Hey, should you be drinking that?
It's decaf. Because we're busy women.
We don't have time for lag or buffering. Who doesn't want internet that helps AI do your homework even faster?
Come again?
Sorry, what was that?
Introducing the next generation 10G network, only from Xfinity. The future starts now.
We are back. USA Scout leads 2-1 over Warriors Baseball Academy here in the bottom of the third inning from Prep Baseball Invitational. Avery Hunt in studio with us. We're now going to see, let's see, we got Mason Milsford at the plate right now for Warriors Baseball Academy, going to be followed by Ben Hindman. Pitcher continues to be Jack Rossi for USA Scout. North Gwinnett 2029, fourth prep baseball event for him. A fastball sitting right around where we had him on the profile, around 70 miles an hour. Misses outside.
Looks like we finally got some good weather for one of these. The last few times it's been nice and chilly during our broadcast.
Yeah, so you're here when these events are going on. You're pretty much here when it starts during the day. You might be here all the way through the finish. Do you believe that spring is finally here in Metro Atlanta?
Yes, I'm thinking very hard because I'll say that on Wednesday it'll be 25 degrees. But
Yeah.
I think spring is officially here. I'm gonna let that statement.
The only
stand.
thing that comes with that I think we all just do not look forward to is the pollen.
Yes.
So we'll very soon be walking out to our cars and everyone will have a green car.
Yep, I think that time is unfortunately coming. Make sure you're starting your allergy medications.
That's right.
Public service announcement today during our broadcast.
Misfit goes down on strikes in North Paulding 2029, victimized by Jack Rossi there. And now we will turn things over to, let's see where we're at in the lineup here. Ben Hindman for Warriors Baseball Academy. Ben at North Cobb 2029, second prep baseball event for him. Rossi is yet to allow a hit today as we sit in the bottom of the third, and that's in for a strike against Hindman. After him, it's back to the top of the order and opposing pitcher Easton Lee. And I did not jinx it, so if he happens to give up a hit here to Ben Hindman, that's not my fault. And for another strike. I don't know if Ben Hindman's just surprised by the strike zone or just the drop on those pitches is surprising him.
He does seem upset with one himself or the umpire.
Yeah,
here,
he's bewildered in some shape or form. Oh, man, just missed it on the outside. I think he may have been surprised that wasn't called strike three. Catcher Cal Morrison, I think, looking back for a little explanation on that pitch. All right, comes the 1-2 from Rossi. Swing, miss, strikeout, make it 2 in the inning for Jack Rossi. We're back to the top of the order now in Easton Lee. So you're keeping up on tabs here on the Virginia-Georgia game on your phone. Early pick here for the NCAA tournament. Who's going to be cutting down the nets?
Oh, it pains me to say, but Auburn looks really, really good. My entire family on my dad's side is Duke basketball fans. I chose the road less traveled and am a Georgia basketball fan. Went to school there. Kind of felt like a hypocrite if I wasn't. So, yeah. Duke looks really good with Cooper Flag, but somebody's going to get hot, and that's all that really matters, I think.
Sends that one into right field. It will be caught for the third out. I think Cooper Flag is going to have his legend status moment this spring. I think that's absolutely happening. Whether or not that results in them cutting down the nets, I think this is going to be Cooper Flag's tournament. All right, we are through 3. We'll be back with more from the Prep Baseball Invitational.
The Windscreen Factory, more than just windscreen. We're a full-service sports facility contractor. We manufacture windscreen for sports and construction, do fence repair and installation, and fabricate field netting and batting cages. In addition to manufacturing the products, we also install upon request. We make safety padding for backstops, rails, and walls, as well as full-service print shop with logo, branding, and signage capabilities. Please call us for a quote today.
Welcome back. We've got a 2-1 lead for USA Scout over Warriors Baseball Academy. Cory McCartney, Avery Hunt with you. Our conversation has turned into comfort shows as we have hit that point in the conversation during our breaks here during the broadcast. We'll see if that infiltrates depending on what the score looks like as this one rages on. But so far, we've got a nice ball game here between these two squads, the Prep Baseball Invitational. Easton Lee back out for another inning of work for Warriors Baseball Academy. Let's go ahead and give them a quick preview. You said Friends is that's your comfort show.
It was Friends for a while. Now we've gone to Seinfeld.
Okay.
The Office was in there for a little bit.
Go.
The Office sometimes gets a little too cringe for me. It makes me uncomfortable. I can't have that.
Where are you on Parks and Rec? I love Parks and Rec. It's a little bit that same vein. If the awkwardness of The Office doesn't always sit well with you, you might have the same thing with a trip to Pawnee, Indiana.
Yeah, that one is. I've tried 2 or 3 times, and I just can't get on board with it. I might give it another run this summer.
Okay.
Or my summer show this is year 6 for me, so 6 years here. It has been Trailer Park Boys on Netflix.
Okay.
That's a interesting time if you want to do that. Great intro song, very soothing. So that's my reasoning behind having that running for 8 hours while I sleep, or during the summer 3.5, 4. But I'm running out of shows. So anybody, Instagram's on all the posts and Twitter. So got any good show recs, let me know.
There you go. Graham Dooley at the plate to start things off for USA Scout. He will be followed by Logan Ladier and Jackson Pudvey. 2 hits, 2 runs for USA Scout, 1 run on no hits so far for Warriors Baseball Academy here in the 4th inning. Yeah, I don't know that I necessarily have that comfort. My wife's like that with Schitt's Creek.
Okay.
That she will dial that up. Like that she got COVID, and that was like we quarantined her, and then when she reemerged, she had seen every episode of Schitt's Creek. So then I had to subsequently watch it to catch up with her.
It's like our first summer day. Like this year, I think it's May 24th. Like I get home and it's just like, all right, Trailer Park Boys, get it on the TV, and it just gets you through. It doesn't make any sense. The show's not very good. Like hand up, not a very good show. But
that one is put in play. Shortstop camps underneath it. He'll have it on the edge of the grass. Back in college, I was like that with Whose Line Is It Anyway? Did you ever watch that show?
I've never seen that.
Oh, that was a pretty good show for a long time. Had Drew Carey hosted it for a while too, but the old British version of it was just absolutely bonkers, and that was a good watch. The Chappelle Show was like that.
Yeah, that's probably a good one. I've been heavy in YouTube trivia lately.
Okay.
During the day while working in the home office, have it on the TV. Trying to gain some knowledge, I guess, about early 2000s NBA basketball.
There you go.
So,
well, the beast known as Logan Ladier now at the plate, 6'2", 259-pounder from St. Pius X, Kansas City in Missouri. Exit velos 94.9 miles an hour, bat speed of 69 for this 2029. I mean, this is a guy to watch, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you just think about stature-wise, and you start to think, look at the difference between Easton Lee, who's going back to get that ball. He is 5'5", 110 pounds, and he's facing a guy that is built like an NFL tight end.
A guy that's bigger than both of us.
That's right.
I think I can.
Bigger than Julian Henson, who was in with us, who a former draft pick by the Seattle Mariners, who played 8 years of pro ball. Logan, just a big kid. So this is it's always fun to watch somebody like this, just because I think there's always I think we all experience this, right? There's always that guy in your grade that gets bigger before everybody else. Yeah. And then when everybody else catches up, does the skills kind of even out when everyone else tries to get that side? But when the guy is as big as an NFL player, I think you have some faith that those skills are going to continue as he rips that one in left field. 98.7 off the bat, and Logan Ladier's got himself a 1-out single.
and that ball's turning around hard for a 14-year-old game.
Yeah.
Granted, they're using metal, but that's similar to some numbers we were seeing during the GDC event. So, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's just fascinating to see a guy like that that's that big that early, and you just wonder what the skills are going to look like in, say, 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at some point he's probably going to start playing up a level of the travel level, especially when we get to the point in the summertime where the high school players kind of start to come back in. I would assume Logan's going to be playing at a higher level than this. He's probably not going to be playing at a 14U level, maybe looking at him on a 15U team to get a little bit more challenge. But to see how those skills progress on a kid that's that skilled this early and that big is going to be fun to watch.
Absolutely. I mean, as you saw there, I mean, he's a big kid, but obviously looks like he knows. You know, you see a lot of really big kids at this age that don't really know how to use their body yet, if that makes sense. I mean, with that swing there, it looks like he, has grown into that stature. He's not just kind of just big and trying to figure it out. So I definitely agree. Be interested to see where he ends up this summer as far as like maybe some 15, maybe some 16U stuff as well.
We've reached the offensive lineman portion of USA Scouts lineup. Jackson Pudvey from Davison, Michigan, 6'1", 175-pound righty, now at the plate with a runner at first. And we have seen a pinch runner come in for Logan Ladier, and he's taken off for second. They got him at second, so the pinch runner gets picked off. So your eyes did not deceive you. We did not go from Logan Ladier did not lose 80 pounds. No.
Did not shrink.
He did not shred, yeah. So now 2-1 count here as this EB continues for Jackson Pudvey. 2-1 lead for his USA Scout squad here on the top of the fourth. Gymnastics Academy of Atlanta has their Sweet Tea Classic going on at the Champions Center right now. I was over there yesterday. I was told between these 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they expect 10,000 people to have gone through the Champions Center in that time period.
That's a lot. That's a lot
of leotards.
Yeah. We've done too many of these because in my mind I was about to ask what's going on at Champion Center this weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just the baseball guy.
Yeah.
And look, it just didn't even get the question. You beat me to it.
It's crazy. I mean, I walked through there yesterday again, and the entire gym is taken up. They've got the vault, they've got, the beam, they've got the floor exercises, all that stuff as Pudvey goes down on strikes. And, man, the amount of people in there is just crazy, and it's just going to be like that all weekend long. So we will enjoy our bubble over here in the much calmer baseball universe, especially during this broadcast. We'll be back, 2-1 lead for USA Scout. You're watching the Prep Baseball Invitational.
At Academy Sports and Outdoors, you'll always find more fun with great brands at the best prices. More of this, and this. So you can get together for a little of that, and a lot more of that. And even some of that, and that's good. Have more fun with great brands at the best prices. Only at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
You are watching Prep Baseball Invitational. Cory McCartney, Avery Hunt with you. USA Scout has a 2-1 lead over Warriors Baseball Academy. Looks as though we have a new pitcher on the mound for USA Scout. Tate Broom taking over for Jack Rossi. Broom, Sonoraville 2029. Was at Rising Stars preseason All-State last week, an event that coincided with our season opener, so one of the fields, I believe it was 11, was set aside for that showcase. There's a lot of players in that event that are here during this weekend.
Absolutely. Last weekend with our season opener and our Sunday series number 3 both taking place along with that showcase. It was a busy weekend here for us, but this is kind of our first big full 3-day weekend event, so The ball has officially started rolling down the hill, and it will not stop until the end of July.
Silas Keene at the plate now for Warriors baseball. Puts that one in play, and that is through for the first hit of the game for Warriors Baseball Academy, coming courtesy of the Kennesaw Mountain 2029. Yeah, it's interesting that how prep baseball addresses the younger showcases like that, like the Rising Stars ID, because we no longer have that younger group during the feature games. It used to be that was kind of like go out and get your first look at these guys. Maybe you'll get some glimpses of them in the early travel season to kind of put together those feature games rosters. But now that we have the senior feature games, that we don't have that 13U group, it kind of makes some different dynamics around those showcases.
Absolutely. I mean, last year was the first year with the senior future games and getting rid of that 13U age group, and it was definitely different, especially as, you know, if you've been here for future games, all of the future game participants are on one side, on our north quad, and
Yep.
the other one's on the south quad. And normally the south quad's a little more relaxed, and you know, you kind of breathe a little bit. Last year with the senior future games, not as much.
That one, 35.6 exit velo. Can't field it at third as runner's taking off for second and makes it safely. That's about no man's land as it gets there. Just a bit of a nub hit that just drops in. The third baseman could make the play.
Absolutely. There's no pictures in the scorebook. So a hard hit single there.
All right, back-to-back hits for Warriors Baseball Academy. They had none going into the fourth inning. I am really fascinated to see the kind of players that show up at the senior feature games this year, because I think last year when you talked to some of the guys, there were some that looked at it and said, you know what, I was maybe kind of overlooked during my future games experience, and now I've got this opportunity. I'm going to take it. You had some guys that, you know, maybe recruiting to that point didn't work out the way they wanted it to, so they were using that as an opportunity to kind of showcase themselves at the amount of scouts that we have here on campus. Now that it's kind of been established, I mean, you had a guy like Zahir Barjam, who was on the South team, who winds up with a scholarship to West Virginia, makes it all the way to Super 60. I think guys are going to look at the senior feature games completely different in year two, and I think instances like that are just going to make it so much more appealing to players who maybe to this point don't have that kind of look that they thought they were going to get from colleges.
Absolutely. I mean, and you saw just with the new recruiting rules was kind of last year was kind of the first year you saw, you know, guys that historically at 14 or 15 are going ahead and committing to those Power 5 schools. You know, last year was the first year that we didn't really have that, I think. And
yeah.
You know, you look at some of the names that were on just the Georgia roster, you know, and where they're ranked nationally and in the state. You know, it's like that's only going to get better, and so is the senior future games, obviously, with all the new portal stuff and how guys are going about recruiting. The senior future games are going to be even more loaded, and the future games are going to keep getting more and more loaded, and it's just that event keeps progressing at a rate that is truly unbelievable as far as talent.
Well, it's an isolated incident, but I look at last year with Trevor Condon from locally here in Etowah. He was committed to Miami when he was in 8th grade, and then he decommitted before feature games last year, ends up going through that process. Now he's committed to Tennessee. Mm-hmm. So I wonder how many guys are going to look at, and this may not happen very often, but I think there's going to be some guys who, you know, or maybe they got some low-level Power 5, I guess we're saying Power 4 now, but some lower-level Power 4 offers to this point, or high mid-major offers, and now they're going to say, well, maybe I'll decommit and go through the senior feature games, mm-hmm. see what kind of opportunities that presents me, and kind of redefine myself and see what's out there for me in the recruitment lane. So I think that's going to be something to watch, to see how many guys kind of follow that, because I think there will be some who will be like, I'm not the same player I was a year or 2 years ago when I committed to this school.
Absolutely, and I mean, you look last year, you had KJ Hart, it's up to 95, and it's like, you know, that's crazy in itself. But yeah, it's like you said, I think the senior future games is going to continue to progress.
The squeeze bunt down, run scores for Warriors Baseball Academy. The throw over to first will get them an out, but nicely executed play there from Warriors Baseball Academy. We've got ourselves a 2-2 game here in the bottom of the fourth.
A little safety squeeze action there with the bases loaded. Got it down perfectly down the first base line and almost beat it out for a single to, you know, keep it with no outs and the bases loaded.
If a guy like KJ Hart's interesting too, because I think there'll be players too at the senior feature game level to be like, you know what, I'm a two-way. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe I'm getting looked at to be PO. Maybe I'm not. I'm only being looked at as a position player. But to go out there and maybe use that platform to try to leverage themselves as that two-way guy too. It's I don't know. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how much that event grows, because I think we kind of got used to that opportunity to get a look at those younger guys and be like, okay, in 3 years, I'm going to be talking about this guy over the future games. But now that last look is that one goes right to the shortstop, right place at the right time. To get a nice final look at those guys before their senior years is going to be awesome.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, last year, a 13 and 14-year-old side is usually a little more, hey, let's everybody take a breath.
Yeah.
There's not 250 college coaches over here. Like, it's okay. And then, I showed up over there, and I was like, oh, there's 150 guys over here too. So it's a very stressful week for most of us. Is obviously with that many colleges on campus and all the things going on. But it's really crazy to look at.
Two hardest things during feature games: finding a parking spot and finding any room to move around in a scout tower.
Finding a place to sit is another tough one to run into.
Well, we certainly had the luxury of being able to have our studio to kind of use as a respite to get away from all of that. That is in for a strike.
Luckily, I have some insider access. If a Georgia team's playing, I just go sit in the dugout and just
there you go,
hide in the corner.
Jack Gleason currently at the plate for Warriors Baseball Academy. I like the lettuce there from Jack Gleason flowing out of the back of the helmet. North Cobb 2029, first prep baseball event for him. Also like the exposed legs there. It's like a defensive back.
Yeah, if you get fined in the NFL for that outfit.
That's right.
Yeah, get to your locker on Monday in the NFL, and you'll have an envelope in there, Mr. Goodell.
That's right. What do they do? So does the fine money from the uniform violations, does it go to charity, or does the NFL? Do they? I gotta get to the bottom of this.
Deep research on that one. We'll reconvene next week.
I would think that one's going to hit Gleason, and he's chomping the bit as he makes his way down to first base wearing that one. I would think it would be, the optics of it going to charity would be a lot better than the NFL just absorbing it like they're, the GDOT getting some money coming in. Or
hey, make sure you check your tolls. Make sure you're
that's right
on top of all.
Do you think that?
Text.
Do you think that NFL players are getting scam texts like we get from the toll service here that tells you that you have an outstanding toll bill that needs to be paid?
That would be awesome. That would be 10 out of 10.
Swing and a miss on that one to start things off. 0-1.
Being a person that's known to not look at his Peach Pass account, like first two almost got me, but I was like, I don't. And you owe $4.99. Like I don't know about that one.
Swing and a miss. Now 0-2 here as we're seeing Kaysen McClasson at the plate for Warriors Baseball Academy. One of two McClassons on this team. Also Keegan, wearing number 5. Yeah, I think we all like to believe that we're above the scam attempts, especially email and text scam attempts, but some of them are pretty convincing.
Yeah, I've gotten a few, and I'm just like, that makes sense.
The best one is when you get one that's supposedly coming from your boss, and it says, I'm in a meeting, and I need a bunch of Apple gift cards.
Yeah, shout out the prep baseball staff. We had a few of those. My favorite, and this was like before it was a big thing, my college roommate got one, said that he owed taxes, and the IRS was going to come knock on our door. And I was like, hey, man, have you ever had a job? And he was like, no. And I was like, I think you're okay. He was like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, man, I think you're all right. I would have felt really bad if the IRS knocked on our door one morning. I was like, hey, is he here? No, I don't even know who that is.
Count now 2-2 to McClasson. Warriors Baseball Academy in business as they tied things up at 2-2. Count is now going to be full. Well, watching NFL Network of late, I've seen Manti Te'o on there, and you talk about scams and a guy, but good on that guy. I don't know if did you watch the Netflix documentary?
I did, yeah.
It was, so I was a longtime Heisman voter and obviously voted that year with him, and Johnny Manziel. I had him second on my ballot that year. And then just watching that whole thing unfold, and I think in real time, you were like, how in the world did this guy fall for this? And then you watched the intricacies with which they worked this scheme around him and his would-be cousin posing as a girl, and that guy went through a lot, and being able to kind of rebuild himself as he has now. And I honestly say, like, he's pretty good on the NFL Network if you've seen him on there as an analyst. Draws a walk. McClassen makes his way down to first, and we've now got a 3-2 lead for Warriors Baseball Academy.
That is, I'll never forget. That was one of the more interesting stories ever. And I was waking up one morning and saw it on ESPN when ESPN used to cover actual sports mostly. And it wasn't just a debate show. And I was like, oh, my God.
I was so I got wind of it late in the day. We were over, I was at then Phillips Arena for a Hawks game, and they were showing it on ESPN that there was all these rumors of something going on with him. And that's kind of when it kind of started to unfold. So, it was I think we're going to look back on that as one of the strangest sports stories of certainly our lifetimes, watching a guy who seemingly had everything out in front of him getting duped in real time on national television.
Yeah, speaking of duped in real time as of late, I know we'll get our NBA segment in here now. Does the Dallas Mavericks GM make it through the end of the year? And
now they're raising ticket prices. I don't know if you saw that element of it. Well, and then telling people that they can't wear Luka jerseys to the facility, and they will allow you to trade it in for a current player's jersey.
I think I saw this last night. They had 7 active guys on the roster. 7. Wow. In an NBA game.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to figure out what the motive is here. Like, what is the ultimate game plan here for the Dallas Mavericks? I mean, you got a guy, obviously, you've got a Hall of Famer on your roster now that you got in return in Anthony Davis. But what is the long-term play here? I mean,
and Kyrie played extended minutes since the Luka trade. Then Kyrie tears his ACL. It's like Kyrie's not 22. Like, Kyrie's an older player that has had injury problems, and then he gets hurt. AD's already hurt.
Yep.
It's just like, hey, he's getting paid a lot more money than I am, so maybe he knows something.
Well, it may not last much longer.
Yeah.
Although I don't believe GMs kind of have quite the same cushion as a player or a coach who then gets fired and gets to go sit at home and get paid.
Yeah, don't know that they have that guaranteed money on the deal. Like, if they probably do, but probably not at the clip that players and coaches do.
All right, we have, you watch real time, have a pitching change for USA scout Joey Odak. Now finds himself on the mound in a 3-2 game with the bases loaded, and Warriors Baseball Academy taking a advantage here as they've produced their first hits in this 4th inning and find themselves with a 1-run advantage. Grayson Mirabelli now at the plate for Warriors Baseball Academy. Mirabelli, we've got him listed at 5'3", 110 pounds. I think that's wrong.
Yeah, we need an update on that, on that profile.
Bounces away from the catcher. Runner taken off for home, and nobody can find the ball. And a 4th run now for the Warriors Baseball Academy as runners will also advance to 2nd and 3rd. Any scarier moment as a catcher than where is the baseball?
Horrible. Maybe one of the top 5 worst feelings in the world of because everybody's screaming like right, left, feet. It's like, and you're turned around. It's like, is this your left, my left? I don't know.
All right, Odak's got a 1-1 count in the air against Mirabelli. The wild pitch resulted in a 4th run for Warriors baseball. They've scored 3 runs now here in the 4th. Still out hit 3-2, but they've got themselves the edge on the scoreboard. I think we got about 17 minutes of game time, 18 minutes left. This one got started about 45 minutes late. Here comes 1-2 from Odak. Another pass ball. The throw is not going to make it in time to the plate as Odak now gets it back and now make it 5-2 Warriors Baseball Academy.
It's a big inning here for Warriors Baseball Academy. Started off with their first hit of the game, and then the
Yep.
little nub hit to third, but diving attempt was unsuccessful. Got another base runner, a safety squeeze, and a few wild pitches and walks later. Here we are, a 5-2 ball game.
All right, 2-2 count here. Mirabelli got him on the check swing, and that will bring an end to the inning, but 4 runs across the plate for Warriors Baseball Academy. They have the edge. We'll move along. You're watching the Prep Baseball Invitational.
So yeah, outrage is trending. Our feed's stirring us up, splitting us up. What if we came out from behind our walls and keyboards just for a sec and just go yard, front yard? Come out bagging, jumping, check on that Johnsonville feed. Let our individual flavors blend together. Yes, block nobody, block party. Keep it juicy.
Boogie woogie jam slam, bust the dialect, I'm the
Welcome back. We are into the 5th inning. Now a 5-2 lead for Warriors Baseball Academy. They went into the 4th inning with 1 run, no hits. They exited with 4 runs in their first 2 hits of the ball game as they have taken the lead over USA Scout, now joined by Grayson Rosen in studio. Grayson, you were down there for the early portions of the game on the field while Julian Henson was in here with us. Man, there are some big bodies on this USA Scout team, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, when I was seeing those guys walk in earlier before the game even started, I was like, oh, are these the guys that we're going to have on this broadcast? Because it might get electric. But Warriors Baseball Academy stepping up to the occasion, showing off some pretty good, just, I guess, resiliency is kind of the biggest thing. They're just letting the game come to them right now.
Yeah, they've been unfazed by the stature of some of these USA Scout players. Easton Lee returns on the mound for Warriors Baseball Academy. He has thrown 75 pitches thus far, a bit of a layoff for him during that 4th inning in which his Warriors Baseball Academy squad took the lead. We'll see how much longer he's able to go. In this one, he has allowed 3 hits, 2 runs. Odak sends that one foul. Interesting development when we saw Odak during his first AB when Julian Henson was in here. We were trying to understand the rules behind this because anybody who missed it, he started off the first 3 pitches that AB he took from the right-handed batter's box. Then he switched over to the left-handed batter's box. If you're a pitcher, you have to, if you're ambidextrous, it's always going to tie me up. An ambidextrous pitcher, you have to declare whether you are a righty or a lefty during that AB. How is that not the case for a batter?
I'm not sure because I know in the major leagues it's the same way for a batter. For a batter, you have to declare which side you're going to be in. Whichever one you're in, whenever that first, I think once the pitcher toes the rubber on the first pitch, you have to establish your spot. But I was down there right next to it when it happened, and I'm not sure what the delay was that happened. I think it might have been a pickoff or something. And I saw Joey look at the umpire and you see him ask, and he was like, yeah.
I've never seen that. I've never seen that happen before.
Yeah.
That's up there with, we had a game during last summer where we had an ambidextrous pitcher, and if you remember, he started off the game for a team, and he threw, I can't remember if he threw left-handed or right-handed, but they tried to bring him in as a reliever later in the game, throwing from the other hand as if he was a different player.
Which is crazy. Odak gets beamed right there on the back, takes his base. But
yeah, 2 of the more interesting developments we have seen in the past year on these fields.
Yeah, certainly very interesting.
So Odak standing off first after the hit by pitch, and now here is Kellum Typer. We've got Typer from Alatoona, 2029. So certainly be a player locally to watch. And again, a number of national players on this team, residing from Georgia, Iowa, Michigan, Missouri, Tennessee, Texas, and Virginia. But of course, quite a few Georgia names popping up on this roster. Sun shining brightly now here on our Audi Marietta field. That one is skied down the left side, and that will go foul.
Yeah, I mean, this is perfect weather.
Yeah.
For baseball especially. I mean, it gets a little breezy at times. The wind will pick up here and there, but, I mean, temperature-wise, you can't beat it.
Spring has apparently sprung in Emerson, Georgia, and we're reaping the benefits. Again, 5-2 lead for Warriors Baseball Academy. Runner at first. Nobody out here. 0-2 count. Lead delivers. Dribbler down the side, and that's going to go foul as well. Yeah, I mentioned all the action going on at the Champion Center with the Sweet Tea Classic. Also have Lucky Charms Challenge, beach volleyball. There's some action over in the Publix fields for soccer as well. So, like every weekend here, parking's at a premium and lots of action going on all over. Drops that one into right field on the run. Got it. Odak makes his way back to first. Nice play on the run there in right field for Warriors Baseball Academy to get the first out.
A real late decision there by Typer to swing at that one, and lucky to even get the barrel on it, and almost dropped in out there in right field.
Sawyer Ferguson's turn now at the plate. I mentioned this in Ferguson's first AB when Julian Henson was here with me. Got the towel flapping in the right-handed pocket for Ferguson there. We typically see that for catchers.
Yeah.
Ferguson playing right field, but he's got the flair.
I mean, everybody's going to do whatever they can now to look cool on the field. I mean, putting something in your pocket might be the key to that, and drawing in the turf where it leaves no marks.
That's always, I think we always get a kick out of that.
Yeah.
I know it's this is what I do. You know, I was talking earlier about Brandon Geyer and his Major League Mindset training. That you have routines that you go through between ABs, between pitches that get you back into that frame of mind. Maddox Mansour from Carrollton, Texas signee, told me he's got the sticker on his bat that every time he steps into the plate that says, "I'm him." For Sawyer Ferguson, it's stepping out, it's drawing into the dirt, or in our case, turf, and then stepping back to the plate. To jump out of the way of that one, Odak takes off for second, and he will easily have the bag.
You know what I mean? For Ferguson, it must be working. He's the only guy with an extra base hit in this game. So see if he can get another one here now with that runner on second base. I think the coach is going to ask about obstruction by the hitter there, but the catcher got behind him, I think, is the problem.
I mean, he's really close to the plate, too. I mean, I think that's just part of you're just going to have to deal with that when a guy is that close to the plate. Unless he's going to get down, I'm not really sure what other option he has.
Yeah, I think the complaint was that when Ferguson stepped back, he got in front of the catcher, but the catcher went kind of out of his position as well.
We got a 1-2 count to Ferguson. Cal Morrison in the on-deck circle, runner at second for USA Scout. They trail by 3 here in the top of the 5th.
I mean, USA Scout is definitely no stranger to a big inning. In their game that they played right before this, they were down, I believe, 2-1, and then scored 14 runs in a single inning to win that game.
And they need this inning. We got about 9 minutes left on the clock of a game that, again, was supposed to start at noon, but started about 45 minutes or so late. So about 9 minutes of game time remaining. Warriors are the home team, so they're going to get an opportunity here. So this is a really big inning for USA Scout if they're going to get themselves this pool play victory.
Yeah, you pretty well need your runs right here. It's going to be hard to get through another half inning when you only have 1 out now. Get through another half inning and get yourself another shot.
Full count, Ferguson sends that off his bat foul, and AB will continue. What do you think that is? What is it? Are there initials that he's doing? I coached a kid. I coached a kid, and he would draw his girlfriend's initials into the dirt and then draw a circle around him before he would.
How old was
this
kid that you were coaching?
He was 14U.
Wow, that's that's interesting.
Yeah,
very interesting.
Yeah, because we know relationships don't necessarily last long at that age. But he had committed himself that he would do that before each AB. Not sure if he's still doing it. Haven't kept.
Maybe it's a different name, new initials now.
Or you have to literally go try to find somebody who fits those initials because this is what I do when I go up to the plate.
That's true. Because if it was working, I mean, regardless of the relationship status, you kind of got to keep doing it.
Yep.
Get the walk there now, so 2 runners on.
Cal Morrison now steps to the plate. We've got Cal, and I believe this probably a little bit off, 5'7", 213. Cal looks a little bit bigger than that to me, a little bit bigger than 5'7", the Gilmer 2029.
Yeah, he's been pretty solid behind the plate.
Yeah, he was a Rising Stars preseason All-State both this year and last year. So I mentioned with Avery, we had that event happen last Saturday while we had the season opener going on. Field 11 was set aside as the showcase field for Prep Baseball Georgia, and Cal Morrison was one of the players on hand for that. Got a pop time of 2.37 for him. Exit velos around 81.2. So he has been solid behind the plate thus far for USA Scouts. See if he can come through at the plate. 2 runners on, 1 out. They trail by 3. That's going to sail on Lee. Count now 2-0.
I think if I'm Morrison, my eyes are just naturally going to fade over to that huge gap. You get the first baseman kind of playing close to the base, second base, holding on the runner at second. Don't worry about pulling this ball. Just put the bat on it.
It's in for a strike, 63.4.
Ideally, you just scorch a hard grounder past that second baseman that's out of position. It rolls all the way to the wall. That Dr. Pepper sign right there looks really enticing.
Oh, man, gets him chasing there. Count's now going to be even. Tate Broom in the on-deck circle for USA Scout, and then Jack Rossi to follow.
Got to get real selective now. You really don't want to waste this big opportunity for this offensive side.
Both runners taking off.
Oh,
man, he rips that ball. That's going to drop down in front of the center fielder. Here comes 1 run for USA Scout. Runner taking off for third. The throw bounces away and goes all the way to the dugout. We will see Cal Morrison standing at second base, got himself an RBI, and we had a collision of sorts over there at third.
Yeah, kind of both of them took each other out there on that slide in. I was kind of surprised that he even made it in time. We've seen USA Scout kind of, even in the big moments they've had here offensively, find other moments where they kind of mess it up with an out, trying to stretch something into something bigger than it is. But he gets in safely, but I guess maybe not as safe as we would have liked.
Well, Cal Morrison delivers in that moment, 71.9 off his bat. We've now got a 5-3 game with 1 out here in the 5th. Tate Broom get his chance now for USA Scout. Broom, Sonoraville 2029. Again, another player who was at preseason All-State last weekend. Getting right up on the plate. The duck out of the way of that first offering from Lee. Got Lee with 95 pitches so far.
Wow. Make you think that he's probably on a short leash now. Oh, that was smoked.
Yeah, he rips that one in left field, and that is all it the way to the wall. Tate Broom standing at second base. Is he going all the way to third? He's taking off for third. The throw is not in time. Tate Broom has got himself a run-scoring triple. Man, comes through big time for USA Scout in that moment.
Yeah, he just tied up the game there with the 2 RBIs, 89.5 off the bat all the way to the wall. Great piece of hitting right there. That's as clutch as it gets.
So back-to-back weekends, Tate Broom is at preseason All-State, and then he's coming through big time at the plate for USA Scout. And looks like he is going to bring an end to the day for Easton Lee, who exits after 97 pitches in a 5-5 game in the top of the 5th with 1 out. We'll be back to tell you more about Warriors Baseball Academy's new pitcher.
Next. Next. Stop.
You got it?
No. Keep going.
Again.
Next. Next.
If you don't pick one.
Oh, you have time. Am I keeping you from your job? Next. I don't even know where I am anymore. Stop.
Do we finally have it?
Let's go back to the beginning.
Are you
Your
joking?
electric future customized. The fully electric Audi Q4 e-tron.
Making every second count. That is how I live. And this is how I hydrate. Body Armor Sport Water. water for the athlete and all of us.
This is ready to go online. Any questions?
Yeah, I got one. How about the best network imaginable? Let's invent that.
That's what we do here.
Quick survey. Who wants their internet to work pretty much everywhere?
And it needs to run smooth, like super smooth.
Hey, should you be drinking that?
It's decaf.
Because we're busy women.
We don't have time for lag or buffering. Who doesn't want internet that helps AI do your homework even faster?
Come again?
Sorry, what was that?
Introducing the next generation 10G network, only from Xfinity. The future starts now.
Welcome back. We've got a 5-5 game now here in the top of the 5th inning. 1 out as USA Scout has come up big. Tate Broom with the big moment there, a 2-run triple to tie things up. The new pitcher for Warriors Baseball Academy is going to be Keegan McClasson. Keegan, a North Cobb 2029 second prep baseball event for this 5'11", 200-pounder. He is going to be facing off against, what do we got hitting now for USA Scout? I believe we have a pinch hitter.
Substitution, yeah. Not seeing this guy on the roster either.
Yeah, this would be the final spot in the order for USA Scout. He's listed as WR on the PitchAware scoreboard.
I believe that means it's Wyatt Rains.
There you go, Wyatt Rains from Bridgeland, Texas. Third baseman, a right-handed pitcher, 6'1", 218-pounder. You could literally build an offensive line off this this USA Scout lineup. I mean, when you think about Wyatt Rains at 6'1", 218, then you've got obviously Jackson Pudvey at 6'1", 175 pounds. You've got Logan Ladier at 6'2", 259 pounds. There's some monsters in this USA Scout team.
So the back pick right there. Bit of a risky play in a tie ball game this late. Really don't want to give up that run.
Yeah, Julian Henson and I talked a bit about the back pick as a catcher, and he obviously being a former pro catcher himself. He said you always want to have that gunslinger mentality behind the plate, but certainly there's a time and a place for it. And when you've got a tie game and a runner at third, and an errant throw can result in your team facing a deficit, may not be the time nor the place. 2-2 count to Rains. He rips that down the left side foul, 70.9 off his bat.
Got to let that one get to you. Take a step up in the batter's box or something.
We've got him with a top line exit velo of 74. Didn't look like he got a hold of all that one. I think he could certainly increase that number. And short arms that one. Another back pick throw. I think Coach was asking him why he made that throw.
I think the catcher as well thought that he kind of backed up into his way, but I mean, if he's not looking, there's no way to tell if he did it intentionally.
Yeah.
Can't really do much with that one.
All right, full count to Rains. We'll skip in front of the catcher, and Rains will make his way down to first with a 1-out walk. USA Scout will have runners at the corners with 1 out here in the inning.
It looked like the ball just didn't really come out of McCaslin's hands at the right time there. Just a late release, or maybe just got kind of stuck in there.
Back to Brogan Stevens in the top of the order here for USA Scout. It's in for a strike.
I believe Stevens was who hit that. Was it not Stevens that hit the triple?
That was Tate Broom.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, number 12. Rains easily takes second. 0-2 is the count here with 1 out in the top of the 5th. Caslin delivers, reaches out, and Brogan Stevens sends that one into center field. It reaches up for it, able to make the catch. Runner tags up from third. Nice job defensively in center field, but the tag up will result in another run for USA Scout, and they've got themselves a 6-5 lead here in the top of the 5th.
Yeah, that's really good base running right there. I mean, it looked like it could have dropped, but good work to just stay held there at third and get the good tag up.
Number 10, Logan Tilk at the plate now.
Big lead at second. Oh, he's already going.
Yeah, runner's taking off. Raines will have the bag, and that's in for a strike.
Yeah, I think the pitcher looked at him once and then totally diverted his attention to the plate. And once again, good base running by USA Scout, and they're reaping the benefits of it right now.
Looking to build some insurance heading to the bottom of the 5th inning when Warriors Baseball Academy will get their opportunity. We're all timed out. So we will play the bottom of this inning, and that will be ball game, as we do have potential of ties here in pool play. Logan Tilke at the plate now. Harrison, 2029, has to duck out of the way of that one. Raines will hold at third off that wild pitch. All right, count is now 3-1.
See if Tilke can come up big here. Try and put something in play, force Warriors Baseball Academy to make a play. Got a bit of an odd defensive setup right now. Oh, roped.
Yeah, sends that one into left field, and that will go foul. Still a bit of a breeze. You see the USA Scout jersey flapping as Tilke makes his way back to the batter's box. Again, a full count. Runner at third, Wyatt Raines. Misses on the breaking ball, and now we'll have runners at the corners. And I believe the pitcher Keegan McClasson thought that was going to be a strike, but instead it's going to result in a 2-out walk. Logan Tilke now at first base. Graham Dooley steps to the plate now. Lambert 2029, second prep baseball event for this lefty.
I think you can safely assume that Tilke's going to be off to a
we've
quick
got
start to second base.
Dooley listed as a right-hander on his profile, but steps in the left-hand batter's box. Maybe a switch hitter and just didn't have it notated as such.
I'm not going to take anything out of the cards when we saw Joey Odak switching batter's boxes in the middle of a bat.
Going out to have a word with McClasson. Yeah, I'm actually going to ask the umpire about that post-game. Did not know that was something that could happen.
If I had to guess, that conversation was either telling the pitcher to calm things down, or they're going to fake the throw down, throw to the pitcher, and try and bait that runner at third base to come home.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're USA Scout, you're pretty much now you know something's going to go awry, right? Not going to play into their hands. The 1-0. The throw down to third.
I mean, I feel like in that scenario, your runner at first base should at least test him. You've got the lead. Catches the outside there. Make it 2-1.
McClasson delivers. Runner taken off for second.
Not even going to try.
Yeah.
Don't blame him.
So now they'll have him at second and third with 2 outs and a 3-1 count. 6-5 lead for USA Scout. Graham Dooley swing and a miss. Count now even. If Dooley gets on, we'll see Logan Ladier, the first baseman. Bounces that one, and that will walk the bases loaded for Logan Ladier. That's about the last guy you want to see with the bases loaded. Are you better off with an intentional walking in a run, than giving up potential extra bases to this guy?
I don't think so. I think with 2 outs, you can do whatever you want here. Probably just try and avoid the run being scored.
18th prep baseball event for him. He's previously played for Building Champions. He's already done damage today. McClassen misses to start him off. I think the body language from McClassen telling you he's just not getting the location that he wants on these pitches. Comes to 1-0. Holds, count now 2-0.
I mean, Ladier's a guy that we can expect to see many summers to come with
Yeah.
that Building Champion squad. They're out here all the time.
And I talked to Avery Hunt about this. I mean, when we've all seen guys that get bigger before everybody else, but when the guy is that much bigger than everyone else, and you're seeing exit velos around 94.9, a bat speed almost at 70 miles an hour, and he gets on the mound and runs it up to almost 80, I think he's absolutely going to be someone to watch over the next 4 years.
Certainly. And being part of such a program that is so known for developing players as well is so huge.
The 3-0, that's in for a strike, 64.1 from McClassen. Almost surprised that on a 3-0 on a perfect pitch that he eats it. You got a 1 run. I mean, this is the kind of guy you want that can do some serious damage. Rips that one into the glove of the shortstop. Wow. Can't field it. The throw to first will bounce errantly, and now we're going to see USA Scout take a 7-5 lead. Hard hit ball, 84.1 off the bat, and just a tough play at shortstop for Warriors Baseball Academy.
Yeah, I mean, that right there's the difference. When you can put that kind of ride even into a grounder, it makes everything that much tougher on the defense. So good work right there, waiting on his pitch. Didn't really do exactly what he wanted to with it, but gets a good result.
Lady are now standing at first base. Jackson Pudvey from Michigan standing at the plate. $7-5 lead now for USA Scout. 2 down in the inning. Warriors Baseball Academy looking to minimize damage, give themselves a chance to try to get themselves at minimum a tie. So this game starts late, and now we're going to be running overtime on this one. So I'm sure frustrations for some of these teams playing later games here on the Audi Marietta Championship field, but certainly par for the course. When we talk about a baseball tournament, things do get off course and with a quickness.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're Warriors Baseball Academy, you can't give up yet. Even if you're down by 2 runs, you're coming off of a 4-run inning that got you back in this game. I mean, that was like the biggest thing. You retook the lead there, and now you're going to try and make some more happen. It's just, can you bring back the confidence after such a tough inning on the other side?
USA Scout, actually, this team plays another game. Well, actually, that's their other team that plays in the next game. So they've got their Navy squad plays on this field next. As see Pudvey walk down to first base, and another run crosses the plate for USA Scout. Opening things up here in the 5th inning, just like they did in the last game. They were able to get a dominant victory. They were 15-4 winners over West Cobb Haymakers in the previous game. Joey Odak at the plate now. Skies that one foul.
I do think it's interesting that he started off in that right-hand batter's box, and since then has only gone lefty.
Yeah, he's not necessarily played matchups.
Yeah.
Gets out of the way, wild pitch, and another run scores for USA Scout, make it 9-5. They've now scored 7 runs here in the top of the 5th inning. I believe you said they had a 14-run inning in the last game. So 14 runs in the last game, 7 runs so far in this one. So
let's hope it's not 14.
Yeah.
For everybody else that has to play today's sake, let's hope it's not.
All right, 1-2 count here to Odak. 2 out here in the inning. Puts a charge into this one. Center fielder on the run, able to make the grab and bring it into the inning mercifully, as USA Scout scores 7 in the inning. They now lead 9-5 We'll see if Warriors Baseball Academy can mount an answer as we head to the bottom of the inning. You're watching the Prep Baseball Invitational.
The Windscreen Factory, more than just windscreen. We're a full-service sports facility contractor. We manufacture windscreen for sports and construction, do fence repair and installation, and fabricate field netting and batting cages. In addition to manufacturing the products, we also install upon request. We make safety padding for backstops, rails, and walls, as well as full-service print shop with logo, branding, and signage capabilities. Please call us for a quote today.
Warriors Baseball Academy will try to mount an answer after giving up 7 runs in the top of the 5th inning. They find themselves trailing 9-5 as USA Scout has taken control. Cory McCartney along with Grayson Rosen with you. I believe we'll have a new pitcher for USA Scout. We're now going to get a look at
Pudvey.
Yep, Jackson Pudvey. Baseball Profile has Pudvey with a fastball around 77, changeup 66 to 67, and slider around 65 to 68. He was the Rising Stars ID for Michigan, Prep Baseball Michigan, in February.
I'm interested to see if USA Scout can just reel things back in. I mean, you started off pretty well defensively. You looked pretty good, and you really just kind of lost a handle on things that last time out. So trying to remember, all right, we got the lead. Now we got to play with confidence still and get this win.
Mason Misfud will start things off for Warriors Baseball Academy. Misfud will be followed by Ben Hindman and then Easton Lee, the top of the order. I don't know that any play. So obviously, we know USA Scout trains out of LakePoint. They have their national teams that they'll have the kind of core of the Georgia players, but they'll bring in guys from other states to kind of supplement them. When those players come down, and you know, Jackson Pudvey in particular doesn't get a lot of chance to play with these guys, I would imagine the amount of pressure you feel getting onto the mound in these situations, that's that right back to Pudvey, and he will flip it to first for the first out. Got to be a lot of pressure on you when you get in these situations to pitch, because one, you want to show yourself as being worthy of coming down here from all the way from Michigan to take that roster spot for the weekend. But, man, you want to show out because you're playing on a national team, and they got you to come all the way down here from Michigan and play.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of playing up to the occasion, and I think that for the most part, you're not going to bring a guy down here if you don't think he can.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of it, is that player in this scenario, Pudvey, knows that at least the coaches and the organization have that belief in him already before he even steps foot on the field for them, that he's a guy that can come out and just fill a role for a weekend, and that's what he's going to do. He looked pretty composed there, taking that comebacker. We'll see what happens here from third base.
Slow roller, gloves it, throws the first for the second out. I'm just going to go ahead and mark it down. I think there's a really strong chance that guys like Wyatt Raines, Jackson Pudvey, and then Logan Lady are all could potentially be future games players when we're talking about down the line. All these guys,
size-wise, they're already projecting for it for sure. Want to give some love to Tate Broom, the way he played that ball over there at third. A lot of times guys get a little bit freaked out when they're trying to get the ball out of the glove. He took his time, made the right throw. Good work.
So Silas Keene now at the plate as Easton Lee grounds out, and
I think that was a real close one.
Yeah, it was. I'm sorry, Easton Lee's at the plate now. So our scoreboard has moved ahead a player, the pitch-aware scoreboard. So it currently says Easton Lee, who sends that one to second base, throws to first for the second out. Now we will get a look.
Oh, that's the third out.
That's the third out. All right, USA Scout slams the door. Man, Jackson Pudvey taking the words out of my mouth here as he's just able to get this job done and slam the door and get a
saw a
9-5
backflip.
win. Yeah, we saw a backflip.
Yeah, there was a backflip down the first baseline. I'm not sure who hit it, but that was
on
amazing.
that. All right, that may have pushed someone into the player of the game territory. We might have to watch the replay on that one. All right, 9-5 is the win for USA Scout. We'll be back with more. You're watching the Prep Baseball Invitational.
At Academy Sports and Outdoors, you'll always find more fun with great brands at the best prices. More of this, and this. So you can get together for a little of that, and a lot more of that. And even some of that, and that's good. Have more fun with great brands at the best prices. Only at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Welcome back, where we've seen USA Scout get a 9-5 win over Warriors Baseball Academy in the Prep Baseball Invitational. Cory McCartney and Grayson Rosen with you here in studio. And Grayson, I feel like this game for USA Scout kind of had two chapters. The first chapter was dominated by their pitching staff that did not allow a Warriors Baseball Academy hit until we went into the top of the fourth inning. Warriors Baseball Academy delivers 4 runs in that inning. They're able to take the lead. Then we saw the same offense for USA Scout that delivered 14 runs in their win right before this.
Yeah.
Get 7 in the top of the fifth. They end up with a 9-5 win. I think we saw the complete strengths of this team play out today.
Yeah, I think it was a lot of big moments. That was the biggest thing, was finding the right moments. I think you couldn't really find them offensively as things were rolling early. And then when things go your way, you have to capitalize on it. And that's exactly what they did. A couple of walks come around. Then you have a perfect hit and run on a double that scores a run. I mean, just that piling up over and over again, and that culminates in that RBI triple that ties the game.
Yeah, and that leads us into player of the game. Tate Broom, Sonoraville 2029, comes through with the biggest blow for USA Scout during that 7-run inning. Gets the 2-run triple, and that winds up getting Tate Broom player of the game.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't necessarily his day when he came up on the mound, which is unfortunate, but when he came up to the plate, when it mattered, in that moment where he needed to tie this ball game, he did exactly that, and he roped that ball over the left fielder, and it just kept rolling.
Yeah, Broom was held responsible for 4 of the runs, at least from his 2/3 of an inning. So going to be interested when we talk to him to kind of see what his mindset was. Like, was he going up there trying to make up for the mistakes that were made on the mound? But Tate Broom comes through big time, and USA Scout gets a 9-5 pool play win over Warriors Baseball Academy here in the Prep Baseball Invitational. So we'll be back next week. We'll have action for you coming from the Shamrock Classic. So make sure you're following the LakePoint Sports socials so you get the broadcast information going into that one. So until next time, for Julian, Henson, Avery Hunt, and Grayson Rosen, as well as producer Mason Monroe, I'm Cory McCartney. And for now, we're signing off from LakePoint Sports.